planning to have an uninterrupted electricity and water supply from solar energy in the Gambia and beyond? Worry no more, because Solar Enterprise will provide you with the solutions at reasonable cost. We have experienced personnel who can install and advise you about your electricity and water supply with a warranty period. We have good quality solar products from North America and Europe. We provide services and sell products to individuals, organizations, institutions, private offices, communities, and government. These products are solar panels, batteries, charge controllers, inverters, water pump, water heaters, freezers, submersible pumps, and general solar accessories. Visit our stores at 48 Caraba Avenue and Brusubi Highway, or you can call us on 7657 479 980-8483, 340-9400, or 635-9906.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My esteemed viewers, welcome to another episode of daily COVID-19 updates. And today I have a very, very important guest. I call him a specialist on Gambian affairs. Ben is a veteran of the struggle. He's one of the most prominent guys during the struggle. And today he's joining us. Today he's joining us as a guest from the UK. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah. Let me just reduce the volume here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's our regular COVID-19. So as we used to do it, we will bring out the statistics because the pandemic is still on. Then after we go to the main topic.
Okay.
The topic today is endemic corruption in the Gambia and Chinese investment. So then what I'm going to do in a couple of minutes is to read the COVID-19 statistic. Then we will proceed to the main topic today.
Okay.
So let's wait for a little bit. So guys, as you are aware, COVID-19 started in the tail end of 2019 and in Wuhan city in China. And since then, 3,883,098 people are affected, and 268, 560 fatalities, and 1,329,951 people recovered from the illness. And this recovered population is going to be very, very important in our understanding of the pandemic and also the disease pathology and the epidemiology. And also importantly, is going to be very, very important finding the treatment options. If you have been following the news, places like the UK, they already calling people who recovered from COVID-19 to go and donate blood. What they're going to do with that blood, they're going to spin it, the liquid component of this blood have something they call the immune cells. These are pre-programmed protein cells that act as soldiers for the body. So these pre-programmed cells, once you transfer into somebody with COVID-19 infection, is going to be like a scenario which we experienced in 2016 when we defeated Yajam and he refused to go. And we are not sure about the loyalty of his soldiers. Then we call in and reinforcement, which we are sure of their reinforcement. That's the economic, and they flush him out. So transfusing the plasma from recovered patient into people with COVID-19 infection is like you are giving them a pre-programmed, well-trained military officers that will go in and attack the COVID-19 cell and flush them out. Okay, so far we have 2,284,587 active cases, and out of that 2,236, 737 are in mild condition. When we say mild condition, we mean these are the group of people. Some Germany recorded 750 and 61 deaths, and Turkey recorded 1,977 past 24 hours and 51 deaths, and Brazil recorded 1,044 and 21 deaths. So now I'm going to read to you the figures for countries that are very close to the Gambia, and as far as those numbers are increasing, Gambia is not safe. We are not out of it. In fact, according to WHO projections, West Africa COVID-19 spread will peak around June, July in West Africa, and unfortunately, these figures are on course. And two countries, Mali and Guinea-Conakry, I think ECOWAS need to come up and try to do something about it. These two countries went to the polls in recent times. Guinea-Conakry, I think, went to the polls on the 22nd of March 2020, and on the 29th, Mali went to the poll for parliamentary elections. And Guinea-Conakry, at the time of going to the polls, they have no COVID-19 cases. But right now, they overtake Senegal. They are on their own. Every day you look at it, they are climbing the table. So far, they recorded 1,856, COVID-19 cases, and today's figures are not yet in. Senegal so far recorded 1,492, and past 24 hours, they recorded 59 new cases. Burkina Faso so far recorded, Ivory Coast recorded 1,516 cases so far, and Burkina recorded 729, and Mali, also at the time of going to the election on the 29th of March, they have only one cases. That is just four weeks ago, and now they are 633. And Sierra Leone recorded 231 so far, and 6 new cases. So why I keep mentioning these countries, Gambia is very, very close to all these countries. If you look at the geography of the Gambia, even though it's it's surrounded with 3 sides by Senegal, but you look at places like Basse, these are West African business hubs, where people can wake up in Ivory Coast, Guinea-Conakry, and come and have their lunch in Basse. So this is a big threat, and our borders are porous, and generally Africans, we are not very disciplined when it comes to following these regulations. So these are the figures we have, and today our topic of discussion is COVID-19 and endemic corruption in the Gambia and Chinese infection. Then I know you are no stranger to Gambians, and anybody who is keen follow Gambian affairs will not miss you. But we are grateful to have you here on our platform.
Thank you.
We are honored. But if you give a brief introduction of yourself to Gunjur online listeners, I will be grateful. Then we can go into the discussion. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sulayman Suwareh, and from Bakau. Now living in the United Kingdom, in Birmingham, for the past 23 years. And I'm a social justice activist, and I am honored to be on this platform.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Okay. Yeah, so Ben, I don't think there is a better place to start than the issue of social security. You
Yeah,
know, social security was in a terrible, terrible state. We all witnessed what happened, and how, the indigens, I call them the indigens, resisted change,
yeah,
but eventually change happened. And within 2 years, we have seen results.
yeah,
And that is very encouraging. That shows that Gambia can turn it around if
yeah.
we have the will. Well,
Hmm.
all of a sudden, we are back to square one. Can you start from that? Where um, are we heading now, and how all these things pan out from the wardrobe? Thank you.
Yeah, Ahmed, it's quite interesting. Some of the reason some of you, in fact, or some of us joined the protest for to defend the interests of the pensioners at
Mm,
Social Security is
mm,
because of the example we have already
mm,
seen. We
mm,
realized that what was happening, it was
mm,
people resisting change. When
mm,
transformation are to happen, people that
mm,
benefit from the status quo would not want that change.
mm,
And it
mm,
was
mm,
on this information that we stood up and fought to make sure the person they trying to get out, the person that came to bring about the change. I mean, it's interesting to
yeah,
Gambians to think of one thing.
yeah,
Um, the only reason we had
mm,
about any problem in Social Security, it was because they got someone who is from the outside, someone who have
yeah,
never been part of what was going on in the country.
yeah, yeah,
And because of that person came and
mm-hmm,
tried to institute, and people should always remember this as well. The person
mm,
didn't just come and have problem with the institution. The person conducted a review by a private, consultancy firm to review
mm,
the state of the company, and the
mm,
consultancy firm make recommendations. And in consultation, after having this recommendation, he took the recommendation. I mean, took with consultation with the staff and management
mm,
about these are the recommendations, and we should
mm,
have to do something in order to get this place going. Then
mm,
the people, especially the senior management that had interest, I mean, that were
mm,
part of the major problems, they lacked the
mm,
capacity, and they took part in the looting. Yahya
mm,
Jammeh did not only loot Social Security. I'll get to that.
mm, mm,
Yahya Jammeh got into the provident funds
mm,
because I mean, and looted the provident funds. Well, then it gave opportunity to the staff to loot, and how they loot that was they increase their operational this thing to 200 something million.
mm,
I mean, from that increase, that's the indicator of where the money was. I mean, gone. I mean, it was going to the staff. I mean, operational, and I mean, every kind of spending was allowed. And one of the issue was to cut this expenditure, and
mm.
the expenditure was cut for almost over 100 million.
Yeah.
You can see the difference, and subsequently they decided to see, I mean, look, let's try and get this guy out, because if it's here we cannot get carry on what we're doing. And they managed to convince the other members of staff, especially lower ranks, making believe that what is going to happen, that all of you or most of you will lose their jobs. This guy come to make sure you guys lose their jobs. And from there on, they try to play politics with it and try to label the managing director as a UDP in order to get sympathy from other sector of the community. This is what ensured. But the history of it again, the now financial minister, Mambure Njai, who was once the MD at the Social Security and become a finance minister, actually was the person who architected the looting at Social Security. Now, if you have a transformer in that midst, that even the permanent secretary, even the Minister of Finance would not be happy to have a managing director that is, opening up the cans of worms. Now you can see the fighting, and the other interest groups. Not only that, the staff of Social Security, some of the staff, sorry, of Social Security enjoy in the looting, but there were other benefactors. And these benefactors are people that give services, are people that had contracts with procurement. They knew that their interest is not going to be served, but the interest of pensioners will be served. Again, it's not only the position, because the voucher of Ahmed Manjang being the Social Security Managing Director, he become the Chairman of Board of Director for Trust Bank. And at the same time, Chairman Board of Director for Gum Petroleum. You see, and other people have their vested interest in these areas, and all these people came together and fight an individual. If it was not for the moral Gambians that came out and saw where the facts are and stood with Muhammad Manjang, we would have lost from the beginning. And this it important is, as you said, it's a testimony that if you have good leaders in an institution, those institutions can be transformed. And we are talking about the figures, but I will tell you the biggest transformation in Social Security, it's the culture of doing things. It's the culture, and you cannot quantify that. If we can start to change the culture of how we do things, then we're in the right path. To make figures more attractive. And again, something people tend to forget about is how much within the short period the pensioners benefited from their funds. They had increase and drawbacks of their pensions and everything else, and service delivery have been improved. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's an evidence that they are on course. If it was not for the disruption that happened, probably they could have achieved more. And if continuity was, the guy was left to continue, and it would have improved. May I say this? The issue we protested, or protesting now, or talking about the manner about Manjang and Social Security being redeployed, is the illegality of it, the abuse of power that the president did without consultation with the board of directors and in order or based on genuine reason to move. If he had think of Manjang have performed here very well, I want him to become the finance minister. I think Gambians would be celebrating, wouldn't it? Yeah. But you cannot take him to come in technically redundant him to a position for someone that productive. It's make no sense. This is the reason behind the this is the only parastatal. This is the only parastatal in the Gambia that have performed to this level without government intervention. Without government intervention.
Ben, you said the biggest transformation at Social Security and housing finance is not finance, it's culture.
Yeah.
Culture. What do you mean by that? Can you elaborate?
The culture is the attitude of how things were done. Remember, in order for corruption to happen, it's people will take part in corruption. People's culture have to be changed. People's attitude have to be changed. The way they do business have to be changed. And it takes time. It's just a start. They started to, people that visited Social Security, not me. Pasamba Jau was kind of skeptical when the issue was going on, but he visited Gambia after Manjang was reinstated. He came back because of truthful person he is. He said he have visited many offices, government and parastatal, the only place he have noticed change and people, I mean, it's social security. I have a friend who testified to that too. When Pasamba said that, he said the same thing. He said, yes, he used to go to Karawan Sounds. I don't know where Karawan Sounds is. I think it's very close to social security. He said you used to find the staff there, idling and every other thing. But all those cultures have been changed. And so much other in other forms, and actually the relationship where after the uproar, most of the staff saw that they've been used to try to fight I mean something that was not even to their interest, and now they realize the interest and they have seen where the future lies. It is with a management that I mean that is fit for purpose. And let's remember, if we talk about the management, we are talking about the board. The board actually too did stand out in supporting the managing director and some members of staff from the beginning. But actually, the feedback we have now is majority of the staff were in support, and they all came back to do the work. This is the result. It was the combination of leadership and the commitment with staff and support from the board of directors for them to achieve what they achieved. Now we have to congratulate the entire staff and members of social security and the board of directors. But the catalyst of the change is Ahmed Manjang.
Yeah. When they said no man is indispensable,
Yes.
but in recent times we've seen Gambia, what we've been going through. And during the change, this is one highlight. We've seen the resistance of the indigents to what I call a diaspora arrival in a company. And he went on to vindicate himself. And all of a sudden, he's deployed. What do you think are the kind of signal President Barrow is sending to general public?
And it's quite clear. And I think you should make clarification here that you are a Manjang, but you have no relationship.
No relationship. Yeah, exactly. I think
you should do. Yeah, I think you owe that to yourself.
Yeah, then you are very experienced. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I don't even know Manjang. I never met him. You know, we are in the struggle. We want change, the system change. So when this guy came, that's why we all supported him.
Yeah.
But I'm from Gunjur. I don't even know where he's from. But I think he brought the necessary thing. Then you can continue. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. What I'm saying here is the issue about the change. That's something else. It's not about wanting change for better, wanting change to continuity. It's not that. That's why I want people to understand. It's not about the person coming to take over Manjang. No, it's the reason behind it. Apparently, in fact, it has come out clear that the person of Tambedu who is proposed or who took over for Manjang actually was proposed for a temporal as a temporal managing director. Actually, they have a person called Lamin Sima. Lamin Sima is their chosen person to be the managing director, because Lamin Sima would do actually what Manjang what Barrow wants. And this Lamin Sima is someone who had worked at the Social Security, at the Housing Department, and he was implicated, and the case is under investigation. It's reported to the police, and he resigned from Social Security. Now, from the minute he resigned, the president appointed him ambassador at large. He's apparently he's a very close friend to the president. Now, this is the person the president wants to bring to Social Security to be a managing director. But the outrage of that person coming in would have been even more volcanic. Now, the Mamburenjai decided that he knew Tambedu, and Tambedu is a credible person. And if Tambedu is proposed, the outrage would not be asked if this would happen. Then Tambedu can be moved later when everything subsides. You see, this is what it's all about. Because the main issue is Manjang did not allow them to access the funds for pensioners, for their own use, and for their political capital. This is what is behind it. Tariq Musa and wanting to order buses for for the borough political campaign. That's what it said, because there's no business need right now. I mean, it was not based on business prudency in order to procure buses. It was not informed by that. It was informed by a political decision and a corrupt decision. They wanted to benefit from it. These are one of the reasons, and there are other reasons. I mean, all is towards that Manjang would not let them do it. Let's get out Manjang and bring someone who would do it. But I am not saying that Tambedu is the guy. Tambedu is not the guy, actually. We have got in the information right that Tambedu is not the guy for them. Tambedu, they put him there temporarily. That's why I came out here again to say, we are now behind Tambedu as the appointed managing director, and we are in support of the staff members who are ready to work with Tambedu and the board to make sure the same thing that we were protecting is still protected. That is the money that belongs to the pensioners. And Gambians have to understand it. This is not a parastatal as per se. This is a pension contribution that works for the pensioners. It's not working for the Gambia government. All what the Gambia government does or have on this is an oversight to make sure that the place works properly. But the place is not owned by Gambia government, just as they own the Gambia Ports Authority or GAMTEL, where those people work for profit and pay government dividend and be part of what could develop the country. Social security is for the pensioners, money to be managed, and for it to grow, to be profitable, so that they can retire with better earnings. This is the why the social security was created.
Yeah, thank you very much. So then you are implying that with Tambedu, there is no cause to panic. Is that what you're implying?
Yes, and based on, let me clarify this, based on what is on public notice, records. I would, my take here is Tambedu work with the Gambia Ports Authority. During time of Yaya, he was removed from the Gambia Ports Authority because of this agreement he had with Yaya, and Yaya tried to frame him, but even with that framing, the courts cannot find him guilty. One, Tambedu came back to the Gambia Ports Authority. He served for almost a year, and he started to improve the port services and services, and Gambians always forget about the service delivery. It's very important. That's what all the business services. Then this is feedback from people that access the port and use the port. And another thing is the figures started to improve. Figures started to improve. Not very impressive, but started to improve from where it was. But again, the reason he was removed, it's because of the vision they had to expand the port or develop the port or transform the port. And now this went to a bidding, but the government again with the Chinese, they screwed the bidding and tried to get the contract given to a Chinese company that was not even fit for purpose, that have never developed a port, that I think is specialized in brick building. And some of their contracts have been not seen in a good light. But again, the amount of money that they quote for this contract and everything else was not right. The board and the managing director both protested that, look, I don't think we should go for this. But again, by Lamin Job, because he represents the works department and he's emissary of the president, they went ahead and went to Dakar and signed this contract. Still now, we don't know what happened to the contract. And it was because of that resistance. He was removed from the port authorities to the Gambia Procurement Authority. You see, that's where I base it. If he continued with his integrity and to protect it, we support him. It's not against anybody, but it's for one thing, and it's for the Gambian people, especially pensioners in this case.
Yeah, so I think with that, I can relax a bit. I also got my 50 cents at the Social Security and Housing Finance. Yeah. So Ben, you mentioned one name. You've been mentioning this guy all past 2 weeks. Tariq Musa. Who is Tariq Musa?
Tariq Musa. Actually, Tariq Musa from times what we do is when we put certain stories out there, we just put a limited amount of it to get interest and we get information. And some of the information that came through is from a very senior retired diplomat who told us how Tariq Musa came to the Gambia. Apparently, he was in Manchester, and he said he ran away from Manchester with a carrier bag and came to the Gambia. But this person managed during the Jawar government to instill in himself. Remember, in those days we used to have the Madis and the other prominent Lebanese or Gambians with Lebanese descent. But this guy was new to the ground and some of his people, and he came and managed to start this motor dealership. But he understood how to work with Africans because of corruption. He started this thing of procurement, or government procurement. He started to bribe at a very handsomely, making sure that government departments and projects will always try to budget for a procurement of vehicles. And this is the culture we still have. You see it in our COVID funds. This is the Tariq who brought it to this level. We used to have CFAO, and other companies which are more professional in dealings with this thing, but he came and undercut them because he was paying them kickbacks to these people. And remember the Pajero, he was the dealer of the Pajeros and others. He started to give this kickbacks. And again, former GPTC, he was the one who supplied GPTC with the Mitsubishi buses, which were not fit for purpose for the services. This is the same thing he's trying to do again with the present GSTC, to supply them with buses which are not fit for purpose. And Tariq have actually been involved in a lot of other things in the criminal underworld. Under Yahya Jammeh, this criminal underworld with the Colombians and these things. Before that, even First Republic, Tariq was involved in the drug. Then it used to come from Pakistan and others, and Tariq and others would take it out with through air hostesses and stuff like that. That's what he used to do. Now, when Yahya Jammeh came, Yahya Jammeh took over everything and pushed people like Tariq out of the market. But right now. Tariq have, from our investigation, Tariq have returned. And I'm saying this, I said this. Tariq knew the law in England here. If it is a libel, let him take me to court. Just as I said the same thing to Amadou Samba. If I libel them, let them take me to court. In United Kingdom here, it's easy to take someone to court for libel. It's not like America, where the fundamental freedoms of this speech is overprotected. It happens all the time. Tariq, right now, because what happened, Yahya Jammeh took control of almost every part of the business, from the retail end to the protection and everything else. But Yahya left a vacuum. Tariq came back. Now Tariq is completely in charge. Can you remember a few months ago, or viewers can remember a few months ago, when Lebanese people were arrested, but they were bailed for 4 hours. Did you hear anything about that again? No, because they are all protected by Tariq. And all these people, when they bring their drugs, it's Tariq that controls it. They don't have the capacity to take it out of the country. Remember, these drugs are not imported to be consumed in the Gambia. It's for re-export to Europe and Arabian countries, Dubai and others. It's very lucrative now. This is the reason why some of our businesses are thriving in the Gambia, is because of this money laundering. It's not due to that economy performance. Tariq is not the only person in this, but I'm saying he's the top of it. And we have a list of people. We know of list of businessmen and other people who are within these things. And now they are building hotels, they are building other kind of complexes, and people assume that the business front they have, that's what the profit is coming from. It's not true. Most of these people are involved in the underworld of the cocaine trade, and Tariq is their person. But as I said, Tariq did that with the First Republic, and during the Yahya Jammeh time, he tried to survive. He survived Yahya Jammeh for a while, but they fell out, and he had to leave town. He was, sent out of the country until Yahya Jammeh left. He came back, and now he went back into the fold with Barrow. Tariq, a very close, one of his close managers, staff, is a personal friend to Barrow. Actually, before Barrow became a president, apparently they all live in the same street, and the guy used to be the only one or one of the people that have satellites, and he entertained people to come and watch the football. And the guy is called IB Kuruma. They just call him IB. He's a Sierra Leonean who stayed in the Gambia for probably over 23, 25 years now. Now, this guy now is the guy go between and introduce Tariq to Barrow. And now that's why Tariq is so powerful in the country. But the facilitator of Tariq, it's the cabinet secretary, Alaji Sise, and Mambu Njai. I mean, these are the two people in government, and the Minister of Lands, how to call it, Musa Drame. Actually, you guys in combo would have another thing. Some of the so-called estates they're trying to build or get into deal is in the combos. It's in the combos. They are coming for land again to say that they want to build estates, and Tariq is one of them.
Yeah, Ben, thank you. I think Gambians, now we are being warned on daily basis. There is no excuse for us to take a back seat. Our situation is desperate and we are at crossroads. We've seen the vultures not only circulating our head, but they already start taking their daily meal. Well, that will take us to the Chinese investment in the Gambia and corruption. You know, we have seen in recent times, we have state of emergency laws, which close the lifeblood of Gambia economy, the export trade. We've seen they are arresting people left, center, and right. And in fact, I had one particular story which really made me very angry. This particular taxi driver overloaded by one passenger. That was his apprentice, and he was charged for 10,000. But the next thing we knew, the fish meal factories are operating again. And this was vetoed by the fisheries minister and his permanent secretary. Even though after they let these people to operate, the minister of health tells people there to close them down on 2 occasions, but eventually they let them go. What is going on in our country? How can we close our prayer houses, you know, our schools, our economy, part of our economy, and let the Chinese, who are not engaged in any essential business, all their products is being exported, and it's based on something that Gambians are going to need now and later, because we are in famine pandemic as well. People don't mention it anymore. We were in famine pandemics. I think you are in UK, you've seen the unemployment numbers. In America today is 33 million people. So this is going to have repercussions. So what do you think? What is the effect of Chinese investment and corruption in our country?
Let me just try to put a context perspective here and to understand where this started. This is not unique to Gambia. This is a Chinese strategy. And it's have not been started today. This started in the 60s. When China think of transformation, they thought about markets. And they started to work on that to now. But let's say by recent, what happened with the Africa and other countries? They have a template. One template they have is to corrupt the political class and get anything you want from that resources and the country. This is the template the Chinese have. They've been applying that template everywhere. In the Gambia, it's just crazy. Not even talking about the time of the COVID. We all know the fish meal factories have no economical value for us, and we all know the environmental destruction it will do to us. I mean, the environment and our health and livelihood. Why would we have this? What is protecting this? It's just the same corruption. Before we get to the COVID and the COVID Ramadan and this Chinese meal, let Gambians ask themselves, why did we have the Minister of Fisheries building got it on fire and still there's no investigation? Why? The Minister of Fisheries is one of the most corrupt ministries in the country. James Gomez is one of the most corrupt pensioners in that country. I don't know why he is in government for that matter. Now, the Chinese will make sure that anybody, any decision maker, have been bought in order for them to practice what they want. And it starts from Barrow himself, and then to anybody that matters, any oversights or anything, they will try to even. Don't put it past the Chinese that even. I'm not accusing directly that some of our members of parliament are not bought, because of the same thing have been seen in other countries. Investigations have turned out to see that not only buying the present members of parliament, but sponsoring people to get to parliament for their own interest. That's why we Gambians, we have to be really awakened on what we are playing with. And look at this so-called investment of Chinese. Where do they start this investment from? They make our countries, governments, what's the project they have supported? Apparently it's about $50 million US for the bridges and roads they're doing in URR. But what do they have in return? That $50 million is their own people that do the work. The materials come from their own country. And they will likely be used to maintain or do the maintenance for that this thing. There's no added value that comes to Gambians. No transfer of technology will come to Gambians, or skills will come to Gambians. Even their laborers are Chinese. No job creation or anything. One. Two, what do they have from this? Then they will ask the government, condition the government that for us to do these projects, we want a free trade agreement. What's this free trade agreement? It's a win-win situation for China. They will tell us that any export from Gambia to China can be tax-free or given preferential treatment. What do we export to China? Our raw materials. Who benefits from them? Then at the end, they will have the raw materials at a very reasonable price, and they can maximize their profit, isn't it? Yeah. And the other side is, they will tell you that our products from our country to should come to your country without tax or special preference given to it. Who benefits from that? We don't produce. They don't produce, and they will dump their cheap stuff into our market. The other thing they will negotiate is that our investors, taxation, they negotiate about taxation. The taxation preference given for taxation for so-called their investors. And what are Chinese investors? Are always investors that only benefits. A Chinese interest, not the domestic interest in this sense. Only countries that knew what to do or how to do it will make sure. I don't trust them. I don't trust them in anything they do in a country. They always will try to make you dependent. And I don't trust any other neo-colonialists for that matter. What I trust is for us to use our brains, our minds given to us, and make sure we look after our interests. None of these people will come to the negotiating table to look for our interests. They come to the negotiating table to look for their interests. Then we should have the people. But what they do first is corrupt the people that sits on the negotiating table with them. They have what they want. Now, look at the fish meal factory. What value does it have for Gambia? None. Not job creates, not tax paid, and our marine stock, biodiversity, they're scooping the ocean to take it away. And they are polluting our rivers, our environment, and the health of our people. They are destroying the tourism industry. Yeah. All these things, why would we allow this? If the people that make the decision, from the president to the line ministries, are not from the environmental ministry, works ministry, fisheries ministry, are not been paid or not been bribed to make this happen. Right. But again, it's ridiculous that what they do with all the marine these things when Gambians don't even cannot, and what they do, that's what makes Gambians not to even afford. The Gambian middle class today cannot afford a proper diet of fish. They can't. They can't. Because imagine if the middle class would struggle to provide fish on the table. Yeah. What about the other people earning less than the middle class or privileged than the middle class? And all they do is squish it, pollute the environment, take the oil and sell it. When I saw a Chinese company in the Gambia trying to get clearance in Japan to sell fish oil, why couldn't we do it for ourselves? Yeah. Why couldn't we do it for ourselves? Now they take the remains, the byproducts, and turn it into fish meal and other domestic, other animal feeding meals. What value does it have in our country? None, absolutely. I was outraged when I saw that video the other day. We have seen them, but look at the piling of all this fish when Gambians are hungry. Even, okay, let's just say this. Even if it's just for the COVID-19 period, we are talking about we need to be fed properly. We need to the proteins, the vitamins, and everything else. And we have a company not only engaging in a business that will make the restrictions or the distancing impossible, but no, they are taking this vital resource and taking it away. If the government was serious, an emergency legislation would have come in to say that they will produce, the fishermen will this thing, and government will intervene and buy this fish and redistribute it among Gambians. In the United Kingdom and other countries, the governments have in fact directed some companies to stop or to change what they're doing and produce something that is for the emergency. This thing, and we have seen vacuum cleaners, the manufacturers going to make these ventilators and stuff like that, but not in the Gambia because of that corruption.
Yeah, thank you very much. What is even more curious, you have state of emergency laws and you bend that law, for foreign company to continue to operate. And so it's not difficult. We are not being respected anywhere in the world if we can bend our own laws for these kind of issues. Ben, I have two more questions. We still have like 10 minutes.
Okay.
One, the last will be about the COVID-19 from how is it going to be managed. But we know that when this pandemic was announced, we are right in the middle of tourism season in the Gambia, and it just, went bust overnight. And still, I might miss something, but I didn't see any statement from either the minister or the tourism development board or whatever. What have they got for all those thousands of people, hundreds who are working in the hotel industry? And also the business owners, the hoteliers, these are Gambian. They one of the biggest payers of that. What's next for these people? And where is our tourism minister?
Yeah, you're quite right. Actually, I think day before yesterday, the hoteliers and the stakeholders of the hotelier industry, they came out with a impact assessment and quoting a figure, something billions of dollars. Then I think yesterday, I've seen a picture of the minister apparently talking about the government is going to work with these things. But Ahmad, this is the problem. The minute these things started to be real, that's where the communication should have started to happen. And the finance minister have been trying to address what this government does is they just look at the short term. They don't have the vision to see. Further than that, and even that they don't do it properly. They just see the operational needs, and even when they attend to the operational needs, they are not doing it properly. This is about policy. I've not heard the finance minister come and tell us the micro policies, economic policies that needed to be looked at in order to see the informal sector, to see the small business and medium business. These are the bottom line. These are the foundations of the economy. To make sure we sustain them. If we leave a company or these businesses to completely collapse, they will not come back again. But if we have an intervention and sustain them, then when the COVID period is over, it will be easier for them to be revived. And again, and all that would have to reflect in policy. It's not only mere statements. We will help all this. No, you have to tell us and what sort of policy interventions you're going to take, or you consider it. Even if you consider it, you see, because as you said, tourism is one of those sectors And if you look at the dependence of this economy on tourism, look at the industries that are linked to tourism. The horticultural industry. Large part of horticulture and animal husbandry would depend on the tourist trade. That's one. And now I know they've broke the Julbro, but imagine how much Julbro was making because of tourism. The beverage industry, would depend on on tourism. And remember the amount of people employed or amount of people that benefit from the employment from tourism. These people end up spending their money into the other sectors of the economy. And these are the markets, these are the schools, these are to pay for schools and services and every other thing. It's an integral part of what makes the country work. It's apart from agriculture, it's tourism, and now diaspora remittance that carries this country. And we all seen agriculture have failed completely. Tourism would collapse. And what are we going to have next? The point to note is the government is not fit for purpose. The finance minister is not competent. It's not addressing the issues to be addressed. Now, what they're doing is they're taking the cue from social media. That's why I keep on reminding us, let's take our advocacy very seriously. We are dictating the narrative. Whenever we prescribe, they will follow. But they will always react to what we do. Whether they do it well or not. There's nothing wrong with that. But as a government should be fit, in fact, to dictate narrative. We should be complementing government efforts, but we should not be dictating government efforts. Just as in the relief efforts. Nobody called up Gambians to give. But Gambians called themselves up to give. Gambians did not wait for any Tubab or any other organization from outside to come and lead them. But Gambians led themselves. Among themselves, diasporans and people on the ground, they collaborated. And in most cases, they'll tell you that diasporans on the ground, diasporans and people on the ground don't get along. That's not true. It's all because of politics. When it matters, we are always together and one. Just as when we had the coalition, we've seen how much leadership the diaspora have given to people on the ground and how much cooperation we had and move on. This government is not fit for purpose, and they are only engineered onto themselves, enrich themselves. And the other thing is trying to create campaign finance for election.
Yeah, Ben, thank you very much. The deplorable state of our health condition is no secret. We know the proof of burden is only diasporans. When your people are sick, we cross the border and go to Senegal for treatment. And this COVID-19, I would say, it was a very, very good opportunity to build, those frailing healthcare system. But it seems, there's another opportunity to make few millionaires in the Gambia. What's your take on it?
Yeah, actually, when you look at the finances, as you said, in the United Kingdom or any other country, they immediately went to something to do something about reinforcing the hospitals or the health delivery system. In the case of the Gambia, it's become an opportunity to loot, the government coffers. Because let's give two examples here. Why always they first focus on procurement of vehicles? And these vehicles are not ambulances. They are not fit for purpose, for anything else. How many vehicles can they use the pool of vehicles they have? It's the time of necessity. Can the permanent secretaries and the directors and use their vehicles and share? Where are they going? There's nowhere else to go. Where can they put those vehicles into service of the needs? But no, they will create all this thing in order to get their kickback from procurement. As I said, Tariq Musa, was the person who structured this kickback on procurement of vehicles. This government, I think the last budget or budget before last, they spent 300 million on vehicle purchase. With all the vehicles we inherited from Yahya Jammeh's government, we still buying vehicles and not maintaining them. The other aspect is the hoteliers. Ahmad, you want to tell me in these trying times, if you want to represent the interests of government, you will go to a hotelier to negotiate with him when he is not expecting to occupy those rooms for not for the foreseeable future, and to try to trust a business with them, and they charge you the going rate as if these people coming here would be tourists. That's a lie. The invoices have been inflated. It's a complete lie. They inflated invoices. 2, what sort of meal would they be? What sort of services? This is an emergency quarantine. It's not a people been sent to a holiday resort with all the packs on. Then they cannot justify an invoice that tells us that that these people would had packs on. It's injustifiable. And again, remember when they started the quarantine. Remember when Honorable Tumanjai had problem with them? It was because of what? The hotel was infected. The hotel was not right for purpose. And another gentleman, Ibu Donde, came out and put out a voice note, WhatsApp note, audio, talking about the conditions they were kept in. And he said that he had to drive himself out. What sort of condition, what sort of negotiation was made in order to the money? We have not still seen the evidence where where equipments have been bought for the hospital. We have not seen the evidence. But again, we had seen in one of their proposals when they put the itemized condoms in it. They denied it and they admitted it again. These are all the ways they do. And you see, I will come back to this. That's why we need the likes of Ahmed Manjang. That's why the likes of Ahmed Manjang would not be popular with certain people, because they will take the difficult choices. And in order for leaders to transform, leaders have to take difficult choice. Can you tell me, since this government came to, what project have they initiated and make the project successful? Go and visit the OIC project again. Do you hear anything about it? It's all crumbling. Look at our airport, it's crumbling. They cannot even maintain infrastructures they have inherited. Because of all day after, this is the remnants of Yahya Jammeh, and the worst of them. That's these people we still have in government. Most of them, I'm not saying all of them. Especially when it comes to Mamborenjai, the ministers and Tangaras and Alaji Sisis and most of the other technocrats. This is what we have. In order for us to move on for this, we have to be very vigilant, because we will never have see them do the right thing. They might say the right thing, but I keep on reminding Gambians, not what they say, look at what they do.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ben. We've come to the end. We have 1 minute, but I have 2 questions and your closing remarks. You mentioned this government is not fit for purpose. How can we get out of this? That's one question. Now, and you mentioned the tourism sector. Let me just put it all together, so you just close it all together. Now, we've seen the tourism sector is gone, and it's one of our biggest foreign exchange earners. And probably the next story, or number 1, is the remittance from the diaspora. And we have seen all these job losses, that this is going to severely impact on remittances. So what future hold for Gambia in the next coming months and weeks?
I mean, it's going to be a dire straits. You see, this have answered your question. The incompetency, the lack of fit for purpose is to understand the impact and to do something with this impact. Tourism, as you said, because remember, even if we say tourism open again, remember the industry here is affected. The people that comes out of here most of them would be out of jobs or just starting new jobs, or their finances have been depleted, and other issues. Remember, the airline companies are running into trouble. You see, and all these things would have implications, will come to affect their insurance and all the things, bailouts, and it will take time for it to be regulated properly again. The remittance would be affected. And according to a friend of mine who understands stuff, said to me that 60% of remittance go to social care. 60% of remittance go to social care. 40% of remittance is something that will go to savings and infrastructure building, that we build our houses and so on. But 60% goes to the daily needs of Gambians. Now, imagine how many of that 60% is going to be affected, and what that would mean translate in the life of Gambians. Imagine the 40% that lack of investment in our economy, how much is going to affect our country. Imagine the lack of funds. And already this government is not thinking of anything else, but in fact undermining the same economy they have with corruption. We didn't have time, but we are going to talk about the women, the onion problem. This is the time of harvest. Just to show you the government's fit for purpose. This is the time for harvest, and according to, I think it was during when the government came in, they put a moratorium of 5 months at this period, so that local growers can sell their produce, especially women. Because what we have in this industry, we have women farmers, we have private investors that have big farms, Karafi, but we have individual Gambians that have farms now cultivating these things. But the Women Farmers Association have cultivated 600 tons. Karafi have cultivated 6,000 tons. Imagine. And others have this thing. There's enough to serve us for this period. But who broke the moratorium? The president and Wage, because the business is a joint venture. They broke this, imported over 20 containers of onion. And because of that, the other importers said that they're going to break the sanctions, because of the president have broke the sanctions. And I have posted the evidence today on my timeline and shared it. The evidence, a picture, someone had my voice note yesterday and took a picture of Senegalese big vehicles with onions packed on them, being delivered in the Gambia. Now we have our women, work all this time, harvest, and they can sell their produce. We have Karafi, who that 6,000 tons is estimated to be a value of $20 million. That is not going to our economy. And Karafi is employing, apparently, it's only few people who are foreign expertise, but most of the staff are Gambian, and most of those staff are women. Imagine if Karafi failed to sell this produce, he have to redundant the staff. It's going to affect his investment for the coming year. Then agriculture is affected. And I'll tell you, even on rice production, we have a story on about rice production that the president have tried to frustrate a Gambian who is trying to produce rice in the Gambia in order to favor Kalulu Wage and himself in importation of rice. The government is not fit for purpose. We have difficult times in front of us. That's why I'm appealing to Gambians to be focused, not to be distracted by all these silly things going around, insults, name callings, and stuff like that. Let's focus on the important issues. Our people need us. The government is not fit for purpose, and unfortunately, the opposition is not stepping up to the challenge. Civil society, individual Gambian citizens are needed in order to force the good hands of government to do good, and hold the bad hands of government to stop what they're doing. And again, to do the same thing with the opposition. Wherever we hold government accountable, let's ask, what is the opposition doing about this? Because they are the alternative. If we don't make sure we have the alternative ready, Barrow goes is not going to be changed. we have to work the change now in order so that we can have a meaningful change. Let us not have change for the sake of change only. Our people are going to suffer. The economy is going to suffer unless we intervene. And I'm at one more. Go for me. It's not the ultimate solution. It's good. I mean, interim to cushion and help where people are really suffering. But it's a matter of having the right people in office and the right policy be drafted and implemented, and Gambians would benefit. It's not to live in dignity by living on begging. That's not dignity, and we should take that from our people. Our people are not beggars. They want to do things, but the enabling environment is not there to support them. And again, the vice president was not right to say that our people are lazy. We all know where the problems are, but another day we can get to that.
Yeah, inshallah, when we will continue this conversation sometime next week, and I will announce here. Once again, thank you very much for your time, and also for breaking it down for Gambians. So Gambians, as you see, we have corruption now almost normalized in the Gambia. And this is our country. You know, we went through hell for 22 years, we made a changes, and it's not turning out to be. So we cannot just sit back. We have to come back in together, and as Ben said, you know, focus and try to remedy the situation. So Ben, thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I like your the format and the 1 hour setup, and I am thinking of adopting it at least to come more regularly. I think that's what we need, to come more regularly than to stay for longer. And because these things can be watched easily. And what I found out the impact is here. Yesterday, someone sent me my audios been put into Sarahule Fula and Mandinka, and now it's been sent to the ground. We have to be innovative to find ways to be effective in sending it.
In fact, Ben, I'll tell you once, in this platform, we can actually download the audio for this and send it to WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So that's another point. You can download the video and save it, but you can download the audio as well, which is easy to disseminate through WhatsApp. You know, we have to recreate and refocus. But the way things are going, no, we have to come quickly. Or, you know, if we miss this time, Gambia will never recover again. Thank you all for listening, and please share the videos. You know, so that we can get as many people.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, for giving me this platform. Thank you.
You're welcome. See you next week.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.
Planning to have an uninterrupted electricity and water supply from solar energy in the Gambia and beyond? Worry no more, because Solar Enterprise will provide you with the solutions at reasonable cost. We have experienced personnel who can install and advise you about your electricity and water supply with a warranty period. We have good quality solar products from North America and Europe. We provide services and sell products to individuals, organizations, institutions, private offices, communities, and government. These products are solar panels, batteries, charge controllers, inverters, water pump, water heaters, freezers, submersible pumps, and general solar accessories. Visit our stores at 48 Karaba Avenue and Brusubi Highway, or you can call us on 7657 479 980 8483 340 9400 or 635 9906.